The European Union is demanding that the interview running live tonight on X between Elon Musk and Donald Trump must abide by their censorship laws. Yes, the little wannabe Führer in the EU, Thierry Breton, the European Commissioner who is the Censorship Czar, which is a fitting title for this speech Nazi, is demanding that Americans follow their anti-speech laws. It seems that the EU is attempting to meddle in our US elections. Now, to talk about this more, I'm going to pull up an article from Breitbart. They broke the news on this online. This article is titled, Election Interference, EU Demands Musk Abide by Censorship Diktats During Donald Trump Interview. It writes, stepping directly into American domestic politics, the European Union demanded Monday that X owner Elon Musk abide by Brussels' speech restrictions during his planned uncensored interview with Donald Trump. In a letter addressed to tech billionaire Elon Musk on Monday ahead of his planned uncensored interview with former President Donald Trump, Thierry Breton, the European Commission's chief censorship czar, threatened to deploy all powers available to him under the Digital Services Act, or the DSA, against X if the U.S. presidential candidate breaches EU restrictions on speech. I am writing to you in the context of recent events in the United Kingdom and in this relation to the planned broadcast on your platform X of a live conversation between a US presidential candidate and yourself, which will also be accessible to users in the EU, the French bureaucrat opened in his letter to Musk. Breton said that because the Trump interview will be broadcast live throughout the EU on X, Brussels will monitor the dissemination of content that may incite violence, hate, and racism in conjunction with major political or societal events around the world, including debates and interviews in the context of elections. Now, who does this little nobody think he is? Hate speech? Incitement? Sounds like we got another person with TDS or Trump derangement syndrome. Anyway, they go on to write, the EU censorship chief demanded, therefore, that X implement mitigation measures against the amplification of harmful content that may generate detrimental effects on civic discourse and public security in Europe. Breton claimed that social media had fomented the recent anti-mass migration riots and protests in the UK following the mass stabbing at a children's dance party in Southport last month, and thus demanded restrictions be put in place on X during the Trump interview and other major world events. This is important against the backdrop of recent examples of public unrest brought about by the amplification of content that promotes hatred, disorder, incitement to violence, or certain instances of disinformation. Adding, I therefore urge you to promptly ensure the effectiveness of your system and to report measures taken to my team. The top bureaucrat said that his office will be extremely vigilant in looking for any breaches of the DSA speech codes and vowed to make full use of our toolbox, including by adopting interim measures should it be warranted to protect EU citizens from serious harm. You see, the little censorship Nazis like this guy and those from the left-wing Labour Party in the UK to all the other little communist wannabes throughout the EU are uniting in their dream about finally bringing total speech control over their citizens. You could almost feel the wet dream dripping from the words of this little censorship czar here. So close are they to bringing about total dictatorships onto their people. A world in which all of their citizens in their country must bow to their speech control and beyond, to be the servants to the government rather than the government for the people. Anyway, the article goes on to write, according to the EU, interim measures can include orders to terminate or remedy alleged infringements, meaning that the bloc may demand that Musk remove or censor his interview with a former American president. Large platforms, Breton said, found to be in violation of the DSA faces fines up to 6% of the firm's total worldwide annual turnover in the preceding financial year, and even face a potential suspension from operating within the European Union. Musk is already under investigation for supposed breaches of the bloc's disinformation policies. Yeah, these censorship Nazis here are determined to get rid of X in any way, shape they can. Now, Musk responded to the Frenchman's letter on Monday, replying, Bonjour, and added in a separate post, Thierry always reminds me of the French taunter from Monty Python. Oh, God. Good old Elon Musk. Honestly, it is so maddening to see these little goose-stepping, power-mad bureaucrats try to force their craven desires on everybody. And the mask has been taken off for a lot of these people. These radical leftists, the socialists, the communists, which really are all part of the same group, are frothing mad with rage at Elon Musk for breaking their plans for a total global speech domination scheme. You see, up until Elon Musk bought Twitter and broke their chains on speech, all the major social networks, including good old Zuckerberg's Facebook, were willing accomplices in handling total control of their platforms to their governments. There has never been an easier and quicker way to do an end run around speech than censoring conversations online. Government is well on its way to becoming the new mommy and daddy combo for us, their children. And hey, if we get out of line, they got to discipline their children, don't they? For too long, censorship online has been wildly successful. It has allowed all these governments to just do an end run around any form of free speech, all over Western society. But now, thanks to Elon Musk's platform, speech is surging again. And so these governments are hell-bent at trying to find a way to stop them. This is how you get goobers like Scotland's former Prime Minister Humza Yousaf, who is calling for a crackdown against X and labeling Musk as one of the most dangerous men.
As for Elon Musk, he is I would suggest, one of the most dangerous men on the planet. He uses his billions. He is unaccountable to anyone to amplify far-right, white supremacist ideology. He has, as you have rightly said, suggested, I think, is hoping for civil war in some parts of Europe, including in the UK. And instead of using X as a platform for good and using his enormous wealth for good, he is using it, I think, for the most wicked
good for who
possible. And in terms of regulation, let me say this is something that the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, will now have to think seriously about what more needs to be done. We need to have better regulation to ensure that we don't have the kind of disinformation that has run rampant in the last week be allowed to do
always
so.
Always with the disinformation.
Devastating consequences.
But who gets to decide what disinformation is, right? Now, I, for one, have enjoyed immensely this wonderful saga, this turn of events that Elon Musk created by taking over Twitter. I'd always been indifferent to the man prior to this happening. I liked what he'd been doing, but I didn't really, pay that much attention to Elon Musk. But seeing him take so many proverbial bullets by power-mad people who are demanding censorship has been a joy to watch. I am now, and will always be, a firm, unabashed advocate for free speech. I despise censorship and all these little goose-stepping wannabe dictators who are pushing, controlling speech of free peoples around the world and beyond. So go team Elon Musk, keep up the good work. We'll leave it there. From the To Be Frank show, I am Adrian. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you all in the next video.